When the world spoke as one. Have you ever wondered what the world was like right after the Great Flood? Picture this: Noah's family stepping off the ark onto fresh, clean earth. As years rolled by, their family grew and grew. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. The earth was filling up with people again. But something interesting happened. Unlike the time before the flood, when people had spread out all across the world, now everyone stayed together in one place. They all lived near the same rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, in the same lands. It was as if the whole world had decided to be neighbors in just one small corner of the earth. Now, God had a different plan in mind. He wanted people to spread out, to explore His beautiful creation, to make homes in all the different places He had made, by the oceans, in the valleys, on the hillsides. He knew that when families who loved Him needed to get away from those who didn't, they'd need other places to go. That way, they could raise their children to know Him, to do what's right, to be kind and good. But the people? They had their own ideas. From Mount Ararat, where the ark had rested, many people began moving south into a land between the two great rivers. When they arrived, they discovered something wonderful. The soil there was perfect for making bricks. They could shape the clay, bake it in the heat, and create strong, hard bricks for building. "Let's build ourselves a city," the people said to one another. Their eyes sparkled with excitement. "We'll make it the greatest city anyone has ever seen." They began constructing houses, setting up markets, creating streets. But as they worked, an even bigger idea took hold. "Why stop with a city?" someone called out. "Let's build a tower so tall it reaches right up to the sky itself. Then everyone will know how great we are. We'll make a name for ourselves. And with this tower at the center, we'll never scatter across the earth. We'll all stay right here together." The builders nodded and cheered. They liked this plan. They didn't want to separate. They wanted to stay powerful, stay together, stay in control. So brick by brick, story by story, the tower began to rise. Higher and higher it climbed. The people worked together perfectly because they all spoke the same language. When someone called for more bricks, everyone understood. When someone gave instructions, there was no confusion. But God was watching. He saw what they were building, and more importantly, He saw what was in their hearts. They weren't building this tower to honor Him. They were building it to honor themselves. They wanted to be great in their own eyes, to gather all their power in one place. And God knew something the people didn't understand. If all the wicked and all the good stayed mixed together in one place, the wicked would lead the good away from Him. Soon, just like before the flood, the whole world might become evil again. God had made a promise. He would never destroy the earth with a flood again. The rainbow reminded everyone of that promise. But He still needed to help people spread out across the earth, as He had intended from the beginning. So right there, while the people were building their tower, God did something amazing. He changed their speech. Imagine you're working with your friend, building something together, and suddenly when they open their mouth, you can't understand a single word they're saying. That's what happened. The change didn't happen all at once. It happened gradually, little by little. Families who had always understood each other began speaking in new ways. One family's words sounded completely different from another family's words. The builder who called out, "Hand me that brick," was met with confused stares. "What did he say?" workers asked each other. But now, they couldn't even understand that question. At first, there was probably laughter. People might have thought others were playing a trick. But as time went on, they realized something had truly changed. Work on the great tower ground to a halt. How could they build together when they couldn't understand each other's words? The city was named Babel, which means confusion, and it was certainly confusing. Eventually, it came to be called Babylon, and for many years, it remained one of the greatest cities in that part of the world, even though its famous tower was never finished. Because families speaking the same language could only understand each other, they naturally began grouping together. And because they couldn't work with those who spoke differently, they began to move away, some to the north, some to the west, some to the south. Finally, people were spreading across the earth, just as God had hoped. Some traveled north and built a city called Nineveh, which became the heart of a great land called Assyria. Others journeyed west to a mighty river called the Nile, where they founded the land of Egypt. Still others wandered northwest until they reached the shores of a beautiful sea, the Mediterranean. There they built the cities of Sidon and Tyre, becoming great sailors who would travel to distant lands and bring back wonderful things to trade. And so, after the flood, the earth became filled with people once more. But this time, they lived in many different lands and spoke many different languages, just as you see in the world today. God's plan worked. Families could now find their own places to live, to grow, and to teach their children about Him. When people around them turned away from what was good and right, they could move to new lands and start fresh. The tower that was meant to keep everyone together instead scattered them across the whole world. What the people planned for their own glory became part of God's greater plan to fill the earth with life. Good night, little ones. Remember, God's plans are always bigger and better than ours. Even when we think we know what's best, He sees the whole picture, not just today, but all the tomorrows too. Trust Him. His ways may sometimes surprise us, but they always lead to something good.